Okay, welcome to Thinking Green. I am Rana, and today we're pre-recording a show with some members of outCT, and we're going to focus on an event that's coming up soon that is kind of the first of its kind in this region, I think, and we're really excited about it. So I want to introduce Edwin and Alicia and Chevelle onto the show today. And I'm going to ask each of you in no particular order how you got involved with outCT to begin with, and like what you bring to the organization and what your goals are. So any order you choose.
All right, so I'm Edwin Ivy. I'm the president of outCT. I've been with the organization for about 7 years now. I started off as a volunteer cameraman. I was behind the scenes for a lot of it in the beginning, and worked through sponsorships and starting with small different events like the Pride Festival to work my way up to president of the organization. This year we have a lot going on. Next year is our 10th year anniversary, so it's about building it bigger and better than ever before. So I'll just stop there and let somebody else jump in.
Okay, I guess I'll go.
I guess you will.
My name is Chevelle Savage, and I am the vice president of outCT as well as the education committee chairperson. And how I got involved, and this is my 3rd year of board service, but how I got involved originally is that when I migrated to Connecticut, I'm originally from Virginia, the first thing that I went to, literally like probably a month after moving up here, was the New London Pride Festival. And so I remember thinking like, oh my goodness, New London has a pride, you know, by being such a small city, and it did. And actually it made such an impact on me, and seeing this person, I always joke about this, that I saw this person on the microphone, and you know, I'm Southern, so if you're on the microphone, that means that you apparently must be important, right? And so the person who I saw on the microphone is former president and one of the founding board members, Kia Baird, and she was saying her signature, welcome to Pride, welcome to Pride. And I remember her having rainbow knee-high socks on. That is that much of an impression that she made, because I remember all of that from 4 or so years ago. And so I just felt really a connection to Pride, as well as I came back the next year to volunteer. And then I went to a couple of events. I ended up meeting Edwin, as well as some other board folks at a out and about, well, I'm sorry, at a happy hour where we were, that we went to at Barry's Ice Cream. And then I decided that I wanted to be a part of the board, and I have previous board experience as well. So I'm excited to be a part of that, and excited that you are having us on to talk about some of the great things outCT is doing.
Alicia, you're up.
So my name is Alicia Zigler. I am the marketing chair for outCT, as well as, you know, helping with the symposium with my, you know, day-to-day job at Three Rivers Community College. I got involved with outCT because in my job at student activities, you know, it's very important to me that we provide events for students from all walks of life. So whether you know, come from a veteran background, LGBTQ space, you know, you are a student of color, or you're a student who, you know, might be non-traditional, that we have something for everyone, right? That's stuff that's really important. So I had actually partnered with outCT to host a trivia night on campus during Pride Month. And I connected with Kia Baird and Dale Rogers, who is the current outCT treasurer. And then from there, Kia and Dale brought me on board for outCT.
Well, welcome. I guess we should just jump into talking about this symposium. Yeah, I do. I'm going to share the screen for just a second so people can see the flyer. And we'll, and I'll go back to you. Okay, let's first talk about like just the details of it. When is it happening, and what general outline of the day there is?
So I guess I'll go ahead and start. It is April 29th. From 9 a.m. until 4:30, 9 o'clock to 9:45 is registration. Then there is a welcome from 9:45 to 10 by yours truly. And then we're going to have several keynotes that day, as well as morning and afternoon workshops, as well as a panelist discussion. And so lunch is provided, continental breakfast is provided. There's a swag bag, and you'll have to come to see what's going to be in the swag bag. I'm so excited about it. And I am so excited about the Health and Wellness Symposium, period. It is definitely a vision coming into fruition. In my day job, I am a licensed mental health psychotherapist, and I also am an educator and a consultant, right, around providing cultural competency trainings to both nonprofits as well as for-profit businesses, as well as intersectionality training. And so the Health and Wellness Symposium is pretty much a culmination of all of the things that I do every single day. And I think that the wellness and health go hand in hand, and you can't have one without the other, right? And so I'm so excited about that, and also excited that we are partnering with Three Rivers Community College, who is our venue sponsor. And so we're excited, especially about that. And as Alicia has mentioned before, she has done a lot of work on the symposium, a lot of behind the scenes things. That is not my testimony. I don't do well with that. That is not my ministry. However, I can talk, I can support, and I can affirm. So that is what I do. And literally, like she said, she has been working on this probably a lot, so much so that I think that, she thinks that she works for me, and she does not. She has a whole job.
So whose idea was it to have a big one-day event to really bring attention to this issue?
I think Chevelle, right?
Yeah, it was mine. I brought this, and actually it's a combination of some things that we were doing in outCT when the symposium hit, oh my goodness, when the pandemic hit. So we were trying to connect. So when I first onboarded onto the board, there was an education committee, but it had kind of been stagnant. And so we kind of researched it. And so one of the ways in which we researched it is that we started I did a series, a youth series with a YouTube on our YouTube channel called Who's in the Neighborhood. And the whole purpose of that was to connect people with resources, as well as folks within the neighborhood of New London County, as well as we even ventured out to go to New Haven, so for people to see there were certain folks who they may not knew were in the neighborhood, who were queer or queer affirming, right? And so we've had therapists on, we've had different people who are in the arts, we've had all kinds of activities, as well as people from different walks of life. And out of that, and trying to connect with that, then I said, well, let's do a symposium. And I remember thinking that and bringing it actually to Kia. She says, I think that's great, but let's maybe wait 2 years to do it. So then when we can do it in person, I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So one thing I do love about working with outCT is that I have all of these ideas. I call them crazy ideas. And then they're like, sure, let's do it. And one of the things with Who's in the Neighborhood is that I am the host, but my partner in crime who is on this call is the executive producer. So he does all of the behind the scenes stuff, make sure that things, and that's Edwin Ivy, make sure that all of that I'm sounding good, that everybody's sounding good. And so I could not definitely do Who's in the Neighborhood without him. So I appreciate that and that level of support.
Now for you, for you, Alicia, was it hard at all to get Three Rivers on board with this?
No, not at all. So, like I said, in my day-to-day job, it's event planning. Like overarching, that's what I do, even though, it's more than that, but that's just the easiest way to explain it to folks. So a lot of the work that I do on campus also is about championing equity and making educational and equitable opportunity for all students. So no matter how you show up here, you have the same opportunity to get that degree as the person standing next to you who's coming from a whole different, walk of life, right? So to bring this to campus just seemed incredibly natural I think that mental health is incredibly important, but I've always taken the standpoint that I am not a practicing clinician. So as much as I want to do mental health programming and advocate for that as a non-clinical human being, I don't think that it is in my wheelhouse to do programming. However, I will support my beautiful friend who is a, licensed clinician to bring a really great and empowering event to Southeastern Connecticut, one that's open to not just the community, but to, to students, to young and old folks, to folks, all colors of the rainbow. It's an opportunity for everyone to come and really check in with themselves, especially post-pandemic. And I use the word post-pandemic loosely because I still think that we're dealing with, different variants and things of COVID, but mental health for folks the last 2 years have been incredibly difficult. So it really, long story short, seemed like a very natural fit and something that Three Rivers needed to do for its community and wanted to do, not even just needed, but wanted to do.
And I'm guessing, Edwin, that your role was partly saying, yes, let's do this.
Yeah, just take it and run with it. It was a really good idea. The organization needs to work on more outreach. This is a free event. This is something that I wanted to get out there to the public as much as possible. So I'm helping on my end, but these are the brainchilds of this whole project, and I'm really excited about it.
Now for the issues behind this symposium. So what are the key pieces of health that you're going to be addressing?
Sure. So there are 6 puzzle pieces, right? Because that's the theme of it, peace of mind. I love that little play on words. And so of the 6 puzzle pieces that we're going to be focusing on, it's going to be physical health, mental health, social health, spiritual health. Help me, Alicia. I'm at 4.
Emotional
Sexual health. And what else?
Emotional health.
Emotional health. Yes. So, and each actual workshop is going to focus on one part of that component, right? So we have folks that are going to be talking about nutrition and how that affects the physical and mental health of the body, right? We also have people who are going to be talking about LGBTQIA family planning and what that looks like. We also have someone who's going to be talking about LGBTQIA financial planning and what that looks like. And so although the focus is going to be on LGBTQIA identities, right? Definitely anyone can come. People of LGBTQIA family members or allies are welcome. But the reason why I wanted to do this is because we do focus so much. And I love that you said, like, not post-pandemic, but post-ish pandemic, because we're still navigating, right, with some things. A lot of things came out of, well, I learned a lot of things from the pandemic. First of all, when you were sheltering in place with the same person for months, ooh, child, you get to know somebody real, real good. And I'm gonna tell you, me and my spouse are still together. We love each other. Because that is something. But one of the things that I noticed being a licensed psychotherapist is that when I had folks who were on my caseload who had to be forced back home, right, and go to a home that perhaps was not welcoming or affirming to them, who perhaps were being dead named or misgendered, that their mental health really took the pandemic took a toll on their mental health. And so my actual caseload increased, and then also having to navigate what that looks like from a Zoom standpoint. And I am a part of a consultation group, and some of my colleagues, we were saying that we were so physically and emotionally exhausted, more so than we were when we were actually doing in-person sessions. And so we kind of realized the Zoom fatigue is real, and didn't even understand how that was even affecting me. I'm a very social person, and I didn't realize how much it was like, I didn't realize I didn't realize how much I needed that energy from in-person sessions from my clients until I didn't have that. Now, because I'm still licensed in Virginia as well as Connecticut, I would see some clients, of course, via Zoom because they were located in Virginia. But then when I had to shelter in place, everyone had to be seen via Zoom. And so that took a toll on me. I had to figure out what that looked like for me around my mental, social, right, and physical health, because sitting down in one spot all the time is a lot. And so I said, if I'm navigating some of those things, other folks are as well. And then when you take in all of my intersecting identities, right? I identify as a queer Black woman, right? A therapist, a mom, you know, a wife, a gaga. That's why he was for grandmother, because I have a shady little grandbaby, right? He's so funny acting. But anyway, all of those things, having to navigate that, I was like, if I'm dealing with this, other people are as well. And so that is kind of also where that brainchild came out of. So I'm excited about that. Everyone else can jump in as well, because listen, I could talk about this all day. I'm so excited about it.
Well, I guess one of the questions I have is, I'm guessing that the mainstream, medical establishment does not really meet the needs of your clients very well. And what would you say are some of the specific gaps that people in the LGBTQIA community just can't get dealt with, by the mainstream medical profession or mental health profession?
I mean,
I can answer that, but I would push to someone else too as well.
So I can give some examples if you all don't mind. So I think one of the big things is just showing that you're an affirming practice, right? So having, magazines in your office that showcase LGBTQ folks, having posters up that help people understand why pronouns are important, utilizing those tools, making sure that you have office protocol for folks who come in who are, trans or non-binary, and what that looks like for your practice, having therapists that know how to do gender affirming letter writing. That's not something that's really common around here. Making sure that you're reading and becoming educated on current topics. Our community is something that is always evolving, and we're finding new research or and new information is coming out about a community that maybe didn't get as much attention. So just making sure that you're doing the things that you need to be an ally, right? Because even though I identify as a lesbian, I am a cis woman. So I need to make sure that I'm also being an active ally for my trans and non-binary siblings. And when I say being an ally, that means, allyship is a verb, not a noun. That is, showing up for those folks. That is saying to people when they make, anti-trans or transphobic commentary, that's problematic. This is why it's problematic. Making sure that I show up in spaces that might not be as comfortable for those folks and say, yes, my siblings and my community need a place at this table. So, I think, as a non-practicing clinician, those are the things that we need to do. We need to show up for people. We need to stay educated and be affirming. Was that good, Chevelle?
That was right on point. And to segue into one of our keynotes is allyship, verb versus noun. What's the difference? And so we're going to have Elijah Manning, who is actually an actor, as well as the owner of Inclusive Education, who's going to do an interactive presentation around that. And I'm excited about that as well. And just like Alicia said, when it comes down to allyship, that's the part that's very important. As a brown person, right? If I'm in a space that the majority of the people are not brown or Black, then as a Black person, I'm Black and brown, but anyway, I'm not white, I tell you that. So, but if I'm in a white space and something is being said that perhaps is racist, right, or classes or ages, as the only Black person in that space, it is not my job to have to defend my identity and defend who I am. And so, I always say that, a member of somebody who's not a member of my community group does not get to call themselves an ally. I get to call you that based on how you show up in the world, how I see you're acting, right? So just like Alicia mentioned, I identify as a cis woman, right? So at the end of the day, I am hoping that my life's work, my actions and what I do and how I stand, that my trans and non-binary siblings say, Moss Savage is an ally, because I don't get to call myself a trans and non-binary ally, right? They get to call me that based on how I live my life.
That seems like a really important point, who you give the ownership of, who decides who is an ally or not. And I have to say, we've struggled with this in the Green Party. that 20 years ago, I think the party was very, old white hippie, ex-hippie environmentalists. And it has been shifting, certainly where we're active in places like New London and Willimantic. And, but it hasn't been without like some growing pains.
Mhm.
It's, but I really like that point. Can you talk a little bit about, other than Elijah Manning, who will be presenting either keynotes or workshops or be on panels at your symposium?
Yeah, so Alicia and I can tag team that because we've been working on it earnestly. So Robin McHalen is our other keynote, and she's going to be talking about mental health for trans and non-binary folks, right? And Robin is the creator of True Colors, ran that organization for 27 years, and I'm so excited that she's going to be a part of that. And she also was our keynote at our open house that we did back in March. It was March, right, Edwin? Was it March when we did our not
like
open house,
February.
our annual meeting? I'm sorry, our annual
End of
meeting.
February.
We can talk about our open house because that's coming up, but yeah. We also have Heather, who actually is in charge, who's going to be talking about nutrition and health. And I'm not sure what the name of her organization is. It's not, I know what it is, but it's not jumping out at the top of coming out of my head right now. So Alicia, if you could help me out, no pressure. Alicia's probably looking for it as well.
And you also had Amy Hannum doing some Reiki, you said?
Yes, thank you, Edwin. So we are going to have a wellness and calming room, right? And so we're going to have music in there. We're going to have coloring books. We're going to have fidget toys, because some of the information that we're going to be talking about on that day is a little hard, right? And so we want a place for someone to come and feel safe. We also going to have light therapy as well as massage therapy, and all of these people are actually volunteering their services. So Amy Hannum, who is in charge of Paint Dragon, and she's a Reiki master. Adam Campos, who is going to be he's a licensed massage therapist. He's going to be providing us our massages. And then we have Ray, who is going to be doing a light therapy. And listen, I had never heard of light therapy before until Amy put me on to it. So apparently light therapy opens up that third chakra. I was like, all right, now look at us doing all kinds of wonderful things. Look. And that's going to be located in the wellness room help me, Alicia can handle that part because she is in charge of that.
So the multi-purpose room is like our big area where we're going to have, the bulk of the big things for the symposium. But in the back right, there's a door and a small hallway that will lead to that like calming space where we will have the light therapy, the Reiki, the massages, and then, spaces for people to make their own stress balls, to do some coloring, and to just have an opportunity to relax. Also, Heather's business, just to circle back, is called Tea and Tarot Herbal Wellness Boutique, and that is in Madison, Connecticut.
Thank you so much, Alicia.
You're welcome. I just want to make sure we circled back. So we're also going to have some really great partnerships with some organizations based in Connecticut. So Yukon Fertility, which is one of the leading fertility clinics in the state of Connecticut, is coming to do a workshop on LGBTQ plus family planning and what that looks like, not only for couples, but support systems, which is super awesome. And then we also have Rashida Rattray coming down from Connecticut Fair Housing to do a workshop on knowing your rights as not only, a renter, but maybe as a LGBTQ renter, as an older renter, and what that looks like for folks. So we've got some and then we also have Quality Counseling, a member of their team, coming to do a workshop, Chevelle, the Navigating Mental Health in the Black and Brown Community. And that's Raisha, because I kept getting Raisha and Rashida interchange, but that's Raisha. And then we also have the Ledgelight Health District coming to do a workshop as well, which is lessons learned on the other side of the pandemic. So this isn't just outCT. It's literally our state and our community coming to rally around our community to give them support and resources and an opportunity to learn about things that maybe they might not have had the opportunity to learn about before. Because when you go to places like UConn Fertility Clinic, that typically does cost money, right? You have to pay for an initial visit, or you will get a smaller consultation. But being able to provide this symposium for free, our community is able to get access to information that maybe they didn't get before, which is really, really wonderful. And I love that was really a part of this for Chevelle specifically, that she wanted it to be free, that she wanted it to be accessible for folks, and she wanted to break down the barriers for people to be able to attend, which just A+.
It seems to me that in our healthcare system in general, access to care is really becoming worse all the time, and very troublesome. I mean, it's sort of ironic. Things that are specifically related to COVID, like COVID testing or immunizations, have been made quite accessible and usually don't cost people out of pocket, but access to any other kind of healthcare service is just really difficult. People who have emergencies, don't even know whether to call an ambulance because they're afraid they'll get a multi-$1,000 bill for it. So I think a lot of cracks in a lot of systems have been exposed during this last 2 years, and we maybe haven't taken the steps we need to make the fixes that we now know are needed.
I'm glad that I'm sorry, Ron.
No, continue.
So, one of the things that you brought up when you said about that this pandemic has shown some of the inadequacies that we've had to navigate, right, as a country and as a nation. Definitely, I would say so, especially around the majority of the people who were dying and passing from COVID-19. Difficulties were Black and brown people. And that is because we don't have access to some of the things that the mainstream folks do have access to. When you also had mentioned about like that some of the health practitioners and what that looks like, and showing up for people who identify as LGBTQIA, something as simple as putting gender identity and pronouns on your intake forms, right? What does that look like? Navigating when it comes to like giving someone an option of, chosen name versus the name that is on your license, the name is on your birth certificate. What does that look like, right? So some of those are just basic things that are imperative when it comes to people feeling affirmed and supported. And I know for me, if I feel affirmed and supported in a place that I'm having to access medical care, I'm going to come back and I'm going to refer my friends. However, if I don't feel affirmed and supported, I'm not going to come back and I'm going to tell everyone not to go there because it may cause you harm, right? And you're going to feel safe.
Well, yeah, when you mention, people using their chosen name, and this goes beyond the limited healthcare system, so, I'm kind of political. And so 2 years ago, our local candidate for state rep was a trans woman. And there were some really difficult situations that threw all of us for a loop. She could have her chosen name on the ballot, but there was a form that needed to be sent into the Secretary of State's office or the State Election Enforcement Office that needed to be notarized and needed to be her, official given name. And I was not the one who accompanied her to the notary to get this paperwork done, but I was told it was a really stressful visit, not because the notary was particularly judgmental. It was just an awful situation to have this other name kind of dredged up because that's what had to be on this particular form. And it really made, it kind of made her regret that she had said yes, which is too bad because, she was great. But I think there are so many challenges just in everyday life that many of us just don't even give a second thought to. And, the trans people are dealing with all the time.
Absolutely. One of the smallest thing that I tell people when I'm doing workshops or educating or just even having general conversation is that one of the smallest things that you can do is that use someone chosen name and pronouns, right? At the end of the day, a lot of times because of access to finances, like it costs money to change your name. It costs money, right, to have your gender marker switched over to what is your part of your gender identity. But it does not cost money for me to tell you that instead of calling me Chevelle, I need you to call me John. My pronouns are now he, him. It does not cost money at all. And one of the smallest, most affirming things that you can do is to utilize that. And so, one of the things that is really a pet peeve of mine is that when folks don't do that, because you're telling me that you don't care about me, you don't see who I am as a person, and that apparently my feelings are not at all important, that your feelings and your comfortability is more important than my safety, right? And so, as I mentioned, I'm a therapist, and before I got into my private practice, I used to work at a university in a university counseling center, and I will tell you this, y'all. Every time students had to go home for an extended period of time, like when they had to, it wasn't like spring break where you could stay on campus, but like, for like Christmas or Thanksgiving or something like that, where they closed down the campus. The uptake in me seeing visits from folks who identified as LGBTQIA increased. You know why? Because they could go home and instead of dressing in the way in which they most identified, they had to go in the closet and pull out their dress because they had to go home and they knew they couldn't go home in their authentic self. So that it caused a mental stressor, right? Or they had to go and put on pants and they didn't want to do that. Or they knew that they were going to be misgendered or dead named, right? All of that stress. And you're supposed to be coming to college to have a great time. I love college students because that's the time when you're figuring stuff out. You're trying to, figure out trying different things on for size to see if it fits. But to go home and to go to an environment that you know is not safe for you, and all you have to do is use a name and a pronoun. Tell me why is that a problem? Why is that a problem? So I'll get off my soapbox about that. But anyway, I feel very strongly about that.
Well, one of the things to piggyback off that, Chevelle, a lot of the colleges, at least in the state of Connecticut system, so Eastern, Western, Central, Southern, do now have availabilities for students who are in those situations to be able to stay during like winter and summer breaks so that they don't have to go home to unsafe spaces. And that's for, for other students too. And I believe UConn also does that because colleges do recognize that, sometimes kids come from some spaces that they don't feel safe, they don't feel loved, they don't feel supported. So to give them opportunities to not have to do those things. So,
Wow.
I want you to know it's changing.
Good. I didn't know that. So that's good. But that hopefully it's like that in Virginia. I mean, in Virginia as well. I'm sorry, Edwin, you were talking.
No, I just said I didn't know that either. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's a really great development. Just one last thing before you give details about signing up is, have you had any particular experiences or challenges organizing this event? Or has it been just smooth and joyous?
I think on my end, it's been smooth and joyous. I don't know how Alicia feels, but I think it's probably one of the things was just trying to make sure that nail down workshop presenters and actually make sure that their schedules are can align with the time that they can present. But other than that, it has been, it's really going pretty well. And we had our Oscar party, which was in March 27th, and so we were kind of holding back on advertising the symposium because we wanted to make sure that all of the light was on the Oscar party for folks to attend, right? Because this is the second time that we were able to do that. And that's when I came on your show originally. That's what we were talking about. So
yeah, and it turned out that one of the other guests, his mom had been my boss.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, it was funny. Yeah, I'm glad that, I hope COVID is kind of past, but I think it is great that people are starting to get together, although within the past week, our governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general have all tested positive. So I think we're not out of the woods yet, but at least, we can do outdoor spread out things. So tell us once again how people can register for this free event. And then we'll talk about a couple other things that outCT does.
So
So
people
you can go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Alicia.
So people can register for this event in a multitude of modalities. So you can register through Facebook. So we have an event up on Facebook that you can click the link to register. You can go to the outCT website and click on the Wellness Symposium and register that way. You can go to Network for Good, which is our platform that we host ticketing on, and you can get to the event from there. You can go to our link tree, which is on our Instagram page. If you don't have Facebook, you have Instagram, and you can click the link that's on there to get to the link to register. You can go to the Three Rivers Student Programs Facebook page and see the same event there and register. So lots of different places to find it. We want people to come. So if you think it's a great event for your friends, share it in an email, send it in a text, send it in Messenger, Snapchat, whatever modality fits your social media need. But we definitely just want to encourage folks to come. So lots of places to get it.
Great. I guess now we can talk about a big annual event you've held for many years now, the Pridefest at Ocean Beach, which will be back again this year in August. And I don't know maybe Edwin should start on that because he's been connected with it for as long as I know.
I've been connected with it for a long time, but Alicia is actually the co-chair for the event. So she's really putting together a lot of it already. It's in August, the date's the 27th. But I'll let Alicia talk about it since she's kind of the ringleader in this one too. A lot of people are taking over.
So myself and Xavier Day, who is the other co-chair, have come up with a theme for this year's Pride. So it's come out, whoever you are. So we really want to, take that play on the Wizard of Oz, and kind of the, friend of Dorothy, but to really celebrate, our community, because the last 2 years, a lot of folks have been, sequestered indoors or having to, kind of limit their interactions with folks. And we really just want to take this opportunity to celebrate our community. So it's going to run similarly as it has in past years. There's going to be a week-long celebration. So there'll be events from Sunday to Sunday, but the actual Pride, like Big Pride Day, will be Saturday, August 27th at Ocean Beach. So it's sure to be a really good time, which I'm very excited about. We're going to be having our first Pride meeting in the next 2 weeks. So other ways to get involved. The
symposium is over, right?
Yep. As literally that, like 2 days, as soon as the symposium is over, 2 days later, we're having our first Pride meeting. No rest for the weary.
So we're going to be looking for vendors for that event. I know, Rana, you always sign up every year, so we'll be sure to reach out to you to try to start organizing a list together.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be there again this year. It's always fun. And of course, it's a big election year as well, but we like coming out anyway. I mean, it's a great day to be on Ocean Beach, and there are always great people there, and it's just a fun day. One other thing you had mentioned in passing was that you now have an office, and
I'm super excited to announce that. So we're actually gonna just got the office about a month and a half ago to 2 months. We're still trying to decorate it. We're going to be doing some painting before we have an official open house, but we're planning to have that all wrapped up within the next 2 weeks. We're right across the street from the Guard Arts Center on State Street. It's in the Deward building, 300 State Street. We're suite 402. Stop by and check us out. So yeah, we're just we're moving into a new space, a brick and mortar for the first time in the 9 years of outCT's existence. So we're getting on our feet and getting ready to have a big, huge, like 10th anniversary year. But now that we have a home base and a headquarters, it's nice to have.
Yeah,
absolutely. And actually, the open house is going to be 2 days before the symposium. So lots of ways to connect with. Yeah, April 27th. So we've kind of switched from our hump day happy hour to now out and about with outCT, because we just want to make sure we're more inclusive of having things that we can do in the community that are not always surrounded like with alcohol and things of that nature, more family natured events as well.
So the 27th, so even before the symposium on the 27th, people can come see you at the Duart building. What hours will that be open and available, and what do people expect other than a grand tour of your new place?
Well, our happy hour is normally from 5 till 7. And so we would be around that same time as well. And so we also have use of the conference space. So it'll be kind of like they'll be able to see our office space, and then we'll be having, little snacks to like horse divorce or advertisers. I do know how to say hors d'oeuvres, but I always say horse divorce. Someone one day said, she doesn't know how to pronounce the word. I do.
Yeah. Yeah, but French pronunciation makes no sense. So the 27th, is that a Wednesday night, a Thursday night?
It is a Wednesday night.
It is a Wednesday night. So it's really following the hump day tradition of Wednesday night get-togethers.
Correct, yeah.
And the other thing you mentioned that's an upcoming event is the Born This Way fashion show, which has been, I don't remember if you had to skip due to COVID or not. You probably did. So what's in store this year now that we're back doing in-person things again?
So we're very, very excited to be back after 2 years of not having the fashion show. It's been one of our biggest fundraisers. We usually use it to help support the youth center. And because of COVID, we just had to cancel it altogether. It's been like a big ball gala type event where the kids and their parents, everybody usually gets involved as being models, and we usually have different themes. We've had a night in Paris in the past before. This year's theme is going to be Once Upon a Time, so it's going to be like a twist on fairy tales, but be very, very creative, because we're going to have like steampunk costumes, just anything you can think of creative wise. We just opened a group chat for anybody who's interested in modeling. So if they want to model, please reach out to us via our Facebook, and we'll set you up in the group chat. We are going to be looking for sponsors for the event, and also auction items to raffle off, or auction items for auction. It's designed as a fundraiser, so the most money we can make for the youth group, the better. And it's going to be really exciting. I'm excited to have it. It's been so long since we had, an event where we can dress up and enjoy ourselves. It's at Ocean Beach at the Port and Starboard. It's the second floor at Ocean Beach. So we have a nice background. It's May 22nd from 4 to 7 p.m.
Okay, and I'm guessing more news and more details will be forthcoming when we get a little closer to that.
Oh yeah.
It seems like you have like a really busy schedule for the next couple months, but we only have about 5 or so more minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about just some of the ongoing things that outCT does in terms of providing resources for the communities. I mean, on top of like all of the events and the ever growing list of events that we're getting used to seeing annually, what outCT does on a day-to-day basis to provide resources for your community.
So there's a bunch of stuff. One of their biggest programs is our youth program. It meets the third Sunday of every month. I have that in my mind because I got to send out an email about it. This Sunday we're not meeting because it's Easter Sunday, so we're actually postponing it to the following week. For that, we're going to bring them to our office space and kind of help with the creativity of putting the space together, getting the kids' point of view and what they would like to see in the office space. In the next couple months, we're looking to work with Pfizer and have some kind of science project at Ocean Beach. It's going to be something really fun. I think it's going to be with glow-in-the-dark chemicals. So we're trying to find a dark spot at Ocean Beach to see these chemicals. But a lot of people from Pfizer decided that they wanted to come together to help out the youth group. So they're designing the project, they're paying for it, and it's going to be a lot of fun for the youth. As we mentioned before earlier, for the adults, we used to have hump day happy hour, but we decided that we wanted to take the stigma of drinking off of the hump day happy hour and make it more family friendly, inclusive. So we're calling it Out and Out now, and we're trying to patron different restaurants, different locations in the local area that are LGBTQ safe and affirming. And a couple other things. We just kind of jump around. Anybody else want to jump in? I don't want to keep on talking.
Well, don't you
sure.
also do your yappy hours?
Yappy
I'm
hours.
sorry. Oh, the yappy hours. Yes.
The yappy
Oh,
hours
the
are for the
yappy hour.
dogs. So during the summer months, we like to meet up at a dog park with our dogs and socialize that way. So a lot of people are dog parents, and they're just part of our family. So to socialize at a dog park has been one of our things that we usually like to do. Typically, it's the first Sunday of every month. We still haven't come up with if we're going to use the same Groton Central Dog Park. I believe the Central Dog Park. It's called, or if the Waterford one might be more centrally located. That one seems to have a lot more foot traffic over there. So.
I had forgotten about the yappy hour. Constance started that, right?
Oh yeah, she did. Constance
I
with her
think
two
she
little
did.
dogs.
Yeah, I think so. And I also just want to point out in the last couple minutes that if people go to the outCT website, there is a list of resources for just about everything. There are, things you wouldn't necessarily think about, if you're looking for a real estate agent or you're looking for, I don't know, just any kind of technical help, any kind of professional assistance, having a list of referrals of people who, are friendly to deal with, are easy to deal with, and would take needs into account. I might see if I can just share the website briefly, just so people can get a look at it.
I also wanted to mention that on our website, we do have spaces to donate. And if you wanted to volunteer to sign up, you can sign up right on our website. We need help throughout the year for different stuff, such as these programs that we have already. There's a calendar on there that shows all our events. And we're going to try to keep that updated. So if people wanted to get reminders, they can hook it up to their cell phones, and you can put it directly on their calendars. But yeah, volunteering is going to be something. Volunteers, we need donations for these events. Tons of information is on there, so feel free to go ahead.
What kind of
Rona, can I just hop in here for 1 sec?
Sure, please.
Just because I know we were just talking about like annual events that we do, and I don't want this one to get lost. So, and I know Chevelle can speak to this. So Chevelle hosts an event that's called Everyone Deserves Pride. And it's an annual event that the education committee does. And I think that it would be something that we should highlight. So Chevelle, do you want to take it away?
Please do.
Sure. So this is started once again out of us trying to be connected when it came to the pandemic. And so when there was a lot of Black and brown folks who were dying based on some of the police brutality, there also were some trans folks who also were dying, and they were not being highlighted and hashtagged, let's say some of our more cis folks who actually were dying. And so I decided to create an event called Everyone Deserves Pride, and I specifically do it on the Stonewall Jackson riots anniversary, because that is actually how Pride started. And we highlight Black and brown, trans, non-binary, queer people who have lost their life, and we explain why that's important. We honor them by calling their name. We honor them by having an altar. We honor them by raising the Pride flag with the Black and brown stripes. And so this is the third year we will be doing this. It is actually going to be on the City Hall and the steps of the City Hall in New London. And so the mayor comes, and we have a lot of participation, and I'm excited about it. And thank you, Alicia, because definitely that is important. And once again, that was one of my crazy ideas that everybody just jumped on board and said, sure, let's make it happen. So
So when is that going to be occurring so that people?
June
can, like,
28th.
June 28th.
June 28th.
And I'm guessing all of these events are, if people go to your website, they're on the calendar. So
Yep.
you can go, you can download the calendar and get alerts for everything.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I know we have kind of a hard stop coming up in 2 minutes. So just one last thing, tell people how they can get involved, how they can donate, how they can be supportive and get support.
So there's multiple ways. The first one is our website to find out how to volunteer and donate. We also have a phone number where somebody can call directly if they needed some resources. We can help plug them into resources in the community. Our Facebook page has Messenger, and Instagram also has Messenger. So if anybody wanted to reach out directly, those are different ways they can reach out to us. And email info@outct.org. That's our main mailing list. And if you have any ideas, any suggestions, any resources, just let us know and we'll plug them in.
And I just want to add that a good way to get started, if you have not been involved before, or if you have, but you want to like re-energize that involvement after 2 years of isolation, is the symposium coming up on the 29th. That is free, that is all day. Free all day. You get fed, you get swag, which you won't find out about what it is unless you're there. And it should be a great opportunity to get information and to get together with a lot of people. So thank you so much to all three of you for joining us today. And just so you know, this will air on Tuesday. I don't remember what the date is now. The 19th, no, I don't even remember. The 19th, I think. But we're also going to put it on YouTube. So we'll send you the link. And if you want to link to it somewhere on your Facebook page, you're welcome to. So thank you again to all three of you, and for all the viewers. We hope you see you at some of the events coming up.